Hi, and welcome to the Bootleg Book Club podcast.
I'm Felicia.
And I'm Sam.
And this time around, we are reading Dear Haiti, Love Alaine by Maika and Maritza. They're two sisters who wrote this book. We'll definitely start off right now with about the author, power of the pen, and a little bit about the book. So, two sisters who grew up in Florida and with Haitian parents, and they kind of describe this book in the beginning as a love letter to our dear Haiti. And Maika, she went to Florida State University. She studied marketing and she got an MBA from the University of Miami, and she got her PhD at Howard University. And then Maritza went to University of Florida for women's studies, and she went to the University of Southern California where she got her master's in journalism. And then she had a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. And touches of that background you'll see throughout the book. And I think it was a really nice touch how they really connected their personal lives and wrote what they knew about and also branched out. So overall, this book is written from Alaine, who's a high schooler, from her perspective. As she takes a trip to Haiti to volunteer with her aunt, pretty much since she got in trouble at school. The story, I really believe, is alive, and it takes time to get used to because there's an element in it where it's written in only letters, emails, tweets, all types of written format of postcards, and not just a traditional fiction book. I would also title this kind of as a historical fiction type of book.
So I really liked how they touched on that Latin America is the birthplace of magical realism. And to your point about this being a historical type of fiction novel, it made me think of the book that we read, Hot Water for Chocolate. I think it's like that. And how there seem to be historical elements enveloped into this Mexican family's history and story. So here, there are Haitian elements and Haitian history mixed into the elements of the story, as well as it having a little bit of magical realism. So it's really just a mixture of things.
Yes.
And I really like that too.
Yes.
Also, I really liked how they basically just said it without a back and forth of Haiti being part of Latin America. Haiti is in the Caribbean. Haiti is part of Latin America. I think both things are true. I tend to just say the Caribbean, but yes, I feel if Dominican Republic is considered Latin America, then Haiti is Latin America.
Yes, by geographics alone. And also, here's the cover. It's a beautiful red background with a dark-skinned woman. I will say, it didn't really give Alaine to me. She seems older.
I was going to say the same thing. She looks does not look like a 17-year-old to me.
Yes.
But I know Alaine talks a lot about having a bomb twist out, and I feel that definitely goes with the whole idea of having a bomb twist out.
Yeah.
And then it also did feel kind of reminiscent of other covers that we've seen where they're in the fantasy type of world where they're bright covers,
right?
Black girls with their natural hair out. So I did like that actually. But yeah, I definitely also kind of felt she looked kind of older. And I felt the colors were giving island vibes too.
Yes, the brightness, very inviting, and then the red, I think, almost foreshadows to just almost, I guess, just blood, family blood, bloodlines, blood being shed, blood as a symbol. That's what I see in the red. Sacrifice. There's just, I think it was a nice touch when we talk about covers and different things like that.
I agree.
So now moving on to POV. This is where we kind of talk about our favorite or least favorite characters.
I took a sneak peek at your sheet, and we had the same least favorite character.
Okay.
So Andres.
Yeah, we can start there. Yeah.
So Andres is a childhood friend of basically the aunt's
And the mom.
The mom to the main character.
Yes.
So the main character, like we mentioned, is Alaine. She's going to Haiti to help her aunt, Estelle.
Yes.
And with volunteering for an organization Estelle is CEO of. And Estelle and Celeste is Elaine's mom and Estelle's sister. They grew up with Andres. And Andres is just this guy who always was seeking money and power, even as a kid, coming from a privileged background. And you see how he was willing to do whatever it takes to get whatever he wanted. And you saw that in a couple of scenes that did flashbacks, but then you saw even how it manifested to him being an adult and just not caring about anyone but himself, like it felt, honestly.
Andres, totally very manipulative, very power hungry. All of the things that just didn't feel right. And then on a whole nother level, for Alaine to also see that and to be aware of that, that was also just gut-wrenching in the sense that, you know, you had time to change and you didn't.
And then I wrote not all skin folk is kinfolk. Because another thing that I was a little bit confused about is like, so the reason he ends up going to school in kind of Haiti, in like the area that the girls grew up in, or the women grew up in, is because his dad is an ambassador to Haiti from the U.S. But I don't think he himself was like Haitian or had Haitian roots. I think he's like, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I don't know that the book made that clear, but I just felt like it talked more about like him growing up in Haiti and having a connection to Haiti, but not necessarily being Haitian.
Yes.
So I did say not all skin folk is kinfolk, but also I don't even know if he's necessarily Haitian. I think maybe I think it was more emphasized that he grew up there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I definitely think that also goes for my other least favorite character was Elaine's grandfather. Throughout, you just kind of learned that he's a very much abusive person. And we could go in more detail on that in the deep dive. On the brighter side, I will say my favorite character was Elaine's dad.
Yes,
I liked his disposition. I feel like I saw growth in him, and just seeing him being a dad. Like, there was parts of, you know, Alaine mentioned, like, you know, my dad's not afraid to express himself and share emotion or cry.
I liked that he's a psychiatrist.
That too.
I feel like in the Haitian community, like, a man is a psychiatrist. I just loved seeing that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we knew from the jump that the male characters, obviously we have some bad male characters, but we knew from the jump that there was going to be a male character, to me, who was going to be a little bit more emotionally evolved. And I really appreciated that. And I feel like, yes, you saw growth in him, but I feel like in a lot of ways, he's the catalyst for growth in other people too.
Yes, that's a good point. Definitely.
So my favorite character was actually the intern to patron pal, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason actually arrived to Haiti before Alaine. He's a kid from Stanford, who is going to be helping Estelle with the app. He's a computer engineering major, and he was just so nice and helpful.
A Haitian mother's dream.
A Haitian mother's dream is what he's described as. He was so nice and helpful to Alaine. He
very astute for his age.
Yes.
Of just scanning the environment and seeing what really is needed of others and what he could do. I think he was very intentional about that.
Yeah. He was just so supportive.
Yeah.
And I really liked that about him. And I was just like, it's so rare for me to love a male character, and I just appreciate that. I really did like the male characters, at least some of them in this book.
Right. Okay. And then from there, let's just go right into the deep dive. And right here is your spoiler alert. This section is where we discuss specific details on what resonated with us or didn't, and what we didn't like about the book, what we loved about the book. So we're just gonna keep going right in.
Alrighty. So, bookmark, favorite part or quote? I have two, and they're short.
Okay, and I have one.
Okay, so do you want to go first?
You could go first, because
Okay.
I'm gonna find mine.
Okay, so my first one was basically the titles of the chapters were done in Creole and English, and the first one of the quotes that I really liked was "The roots of the tree run deep." And I, like you mentioned, how this book is really about blood, like family blood and bonds and ties and stuff like that. I feel like our history is so rich and is deep, but sometimes exploring that, you're gonna find good and bad things. And I think the roots of the tree run deep also to me is like Haitian history, culture, family runs deep and is also very strong. And I think it is worth exploring no matter what you might encounter.
Right.
I think it's worth exploring to know more about yourself and just to get more in tune with just like everything, you know, as it relates to Haitian culture. And like, even if you're not Haitian, like whatever you tap into, I just think, yeah, like it's just nice to be able to tap into like the deep history of who you are, basically.
Right. Exactly.
And then my other quote was, like you said, like a lot of this is also about family curses and trauma and that sort of stuff. But I think there's an element of we can't blame everything on the curse.
Right.
And this actually makes me think of Hot Water for Chocolate again, where it was just like, I remember the main character in that, like she would cook foods and it would embed her emotions into the food. But like to a certain point, it was just like annoying, like who she ended up with in that book. I recall
Disappointing. So many things.
Yeah, like the things, certain actions that were taken were so disappointing. And like here, I felt like, I don't know that I wasn't disappointed in Elaine's actions. I think like what happened, but I did feel like the people in the family were just doing things or letting things happen, and it was like, oh, it's just the curse. It's just the curse. And there's like we said, this book is made up of letters, emails, tweets, and stuff like that. So there's a letter, or more like a journal entry from Celeste, who is the main character's mother. And she says this about her mother: maybe we'll be like her and lose track of reality, blame spirits that don't exist for every bad thing we've done or allowed into our lives. And I think, again, it's like they are blaming this curse for things that are happening in their life, and in blaming the curse, they've lost track of reality and have not looked at the reality of the situation and what they could potentially do to actually help a situation, what they can do to be a more supportive person, what they can do to invite good into their lives. I do think certainly there are certain medical situations that like are unavoidable sometimes, but just like the way you treat people, I think that's on you.
Right.
You know, that's not on a curse.
Yes. And on that note, I have two quotes. But one quote I was going to mention, it's at the very beginning, and this is Alaine sending like a letter to Sister Wagner, who is a teacher at her school, about things that she's learning and that she learned throughout why she's even writing this story in the introduction. And she says, I learned that growing up means that we're not always in control, but it doesn't mean that we're completely powerless either. In fact, each of us must come to the realization that life actually lies somewhere in the middle. And like a little side note, it's like witty. Seriously, I've done so much adulting these past few weeks. I've been looking into retirement options. I also wanted to mention that because Alaine is a very witty, funny person. So a lot of like the deep moments kind of attached to slight humor that helped you carry on in the book. Well, helped me carry on in the book, because the book is very intense.
It is so much more intense than I was expecting, actually. Like, especially as I got towards the end,
right,
it definitely started out kind of fluffy,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a cute little book about Haitian culture, like, this, and just like, this is cute, and like, it got to the end, and it was just like, whoa.
Yeah, it hits you.
It really hits you.
So just seeing this in the beginning really balanced things, I think, about learning Alaine and how she's growing. For even though things can't be in your control, you're not powerless. So that was really aligning. The other part that I liked, actually, that I want to mention, it's tips. This is Alaine's voice, but it's what she thinks her dad would say about career tips that like her mom would give. It's kind of complicated, so that's another part. You have to pay attention to what's happening.
I remember this part in the book, and I actually thought it was so funny how, and this is not the only time, there's another time where she does it, where she's like, this is my version, this is dad's version, or this is mom's version, and this is like what is we're gonna actually publish.
Exactly. So the tips are: never forget where you come from. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, even of yourself. Work hard, but also be sure to live. Always keep things in perspective. Take care of yourself. Remember, the people who look up to you see the best version of themselves in you. And of course, like, all these tips are really great about life in general, not just for career things. But I really, really liked, don't be afraid to ask the hard questions even of yourself. I think just reading all these books, having this as an outlet, it's really helped me frame things and start asking myself questions and not being afraid to ask hard questions about what do I want out of life.
Yes, and honestly, which is so interesting, like, we've read a lot of young adult books that actually bring up that question.
Right.
Of like, what does happiness look like? What does success look like? What does my passion look like? I think that's been really, really interesting to see those types of concepts come up in the young adult sense.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go into the rose, thorn, and bud. Like, what are the highs and lows of the book?
Yes.
I will start with the highs.
Okay.
Or should I start with the low? Because it was...
There's a lot of lows.
So that we could at least end on a more positive note.
Okay, yeah, let's just keep going and see where it leads.
Okay, I'm going to start with the lows.
Okay.
Again, we are in the deep dive portion. We are giving away spoilers. We will try not to give away the bigger spoilers. So I'm going to say Estelle being accused of embezzlement. We trusted you, girl. We trusted you. I was like, what is going on here? The lack of hope and in the young generation of America not generation of America. Well, there is a lack of hope in the young generation of Americans, but in this book specifically, young generation of Haiti, where it was like these. Alaine, while she's in Haiti, meets her cousin and one of her cousin's classmates and stuff like that, and like they go on a trip together, and you hear them talk about how they don't see themselves in Haiti forever, how they want to get out, how they feel like there's just so much pressure. You feel responsible for all the bad things, but you also don't want to feel guilty for the position of privilege that you may have encountered in your life as well, and just like a lack of hope that you could be the one to make Haiti better. And so like just not wanting to be around it, to not have those feelings or not be confronted with those feelings, which I think is, as someone, I didn't grow up in Haiti or anything, but someone who's been to Haiti, someone who's grown up in the culture, it's just like I see that in other people, and I see that in myself. Like, you want better for the country of your people, but it's hard to know like what to do next. And again, to not give away too much, I'm just gonna say when they were in Labadie and the boat scene, it was just very difficult for me, and it was really where the story began to take a turn for me and showed me that this book is more than anything I could have expected. And then back to the last thing I will say is back to the magical realism. Celeste, was engaging in spiritual activities, magical spiritual activities, and essentially what she was hoping for didn't work. Yeah. It didn't work out, and she kind of got burned in the process of this whole thing, and just seeing that play out was really difficult. And it wasn't even like I'm disappointed in her, because she really had no idea. You could really see her heart was in a good place. Right. It's just the outcome was just truly, truly terrible. And it really, like, that's what made the book really intense for me.
Yes. All of those. I think for me, one of the intense parts was learning about Rosalind. Mm-hmm. That was really just one. At first it was kind of confusing, mm-hmm. right? Because it was meant to be like that. It was supposed to be, it's hush hush, we're gonna unravel it as the book goes on.
But can I just add something really quick? I think mm-hmm. that's like Haitian culture too, or like Caribbean culture, or Latin American culture too. Like, let's let it be hush hush. Like, let's sweep it under the table. We're not going to really talk about what actually happened.
Right. So basically, Rosalind was a restavek in Haiti for the family, for the sisters, and Haitian people, I've known it, like, they call it as helper. But, you know, in the book also ends up really explicitly sharing, like, it's childhood slavery, mm-hmm. Basically. So that was really, and you realize she's been going through things, like she's an orphan and all these other things that happen along her life. And it kind of leads to this ending where she gets a bitter happy ending, mm-hmm. Where she ends up finding love, she ends up having a child, but all the circumstances to get there and for her to feel freedom, and to feel just separated from this curse, I guess, the family curse that kind of surrounds the whole family. It really is tough to read and get through.
It involves a lot of sacrifice along the way.
It involves a lot of sacrifice, and everything. It's just ends up being part of that, because you figure out, you know, Celeste's mom's eventually she leaves Haiti, and that's part of it, like part of Rosalind's story. Everything kind of goes back to that. So that was one thing for me, and then as a general part, the family curse, of course, like that was just, that's what also I think caused a lot of people to lose hope. Of course, there's like the greater scheme of Haiti in general, but for the magic realism part, and part of it, like they connected that the curse was connected to voodoo and different things like that, but it was just at a certain point, a lot of people would just give up, mm-hmm. would give up on their life, give up, like, I can't do anything because of this curse.
Right.
So it seemed like Alaine was really the only one left who was slightly hopeful, to get rid of the curse. And that's what she does when she's in Haiti, when she's like here, with the nonprofit and everything like that. And for me, on the positive note, I would say, it could be seen as bad, but nobody got hurt. But just the catalyst of her coming to Haiti, I thought was funny. And I really just liked it, because at the end of the day, she gets to learn about her true family history and everything like that. But, you know, Alaine goes to this private school, and she is supposed to do a creative project about Haiti, about her family and the leaders. And she ends up deciding to kind of just really do this theatrical reenactment of the Haitian Revolution, which I just keep picturing it in my mind of her coming in and just doing everything that incorporated that. And that basically just caused a scene, and that kind of was the catalyst for her going to Haiti. Yeah. But it ended up being really something she needed, and this is the story of the book.
I thought it was funny as well. And yes. I thought it was really well described.
Well described. She had these white people pressed, basically.
Pressed.
And she didn't care. And I'm glad she didn't care.
Yes.
Her dad did care though.
Everybody,
came quick.
Everybody except for her.
Yes, but he came quick to save the day.
He did come in to save the day, which is why we like him.
Yes.
So my highs were seeing Alaine and bond with her mother eventually as you get towards the end of the book. I thought that was really beautiful. Her mom is a high-powered journalist who just honestly doesn't spend time with Alaine, has a strained relationship with her. And I think there's actually something that's interesting about Haitian mother-daughter relationships in general. I think the mothers tend to go through so much trauma themselves, and like they bury it within themselves, but then it also creates a barrier to them being able to have deep relationships, is what I think. Like when they have this unresolved trauma. And then, so seeing them being able to eventually bond was really nice. Also, just like a high note personally for me, and I guess this could be high note / bookish, where bookish is where we talk about things that are part of the book that reminds us of real life. I was just like, it's just so wild to me. Like they did, in my personal opinion, they did such a good job for a young adult novel to fit so many aspects of Haitian culture.
Yes.
Like so many aspects of the family, food, just different traditions.
Right.
Like they really fit a lot of them into this young adult book, and it just captured them so well. Like you're reading it, and for me, I'm like, I felt that way when like going into a house and having to kiss all these people, or I felt that way like going to Haiti and just being excited about the food that I was going to eat, and like how it's food that I was familiar with but somehow tasted better in that country.
Right.
Also familiar with being considered T Blonde because like, you know, you don't speak Creole very well, or you live in the States or whatever.
Right.
So just so many aspects of our culture like just being like in this young adult book, but didn't seem overwhelming either somehow.
Yes,
like,
it wasn't overbearing.
Doesn't seem rushed. Doesn't seem like you're trying to cram all these things. It just seems very natural, and I really, really liked that. I thought I had put this as a high as well. I wanted to talk about when she interviewed the farmer.
I put that too. I put like the peanut industry as a whole, and learning about that. I also put that as like bookish because it was a really good connection to what happened in the rice industry in Haiti, and just economically what happens when. So basically though, what was great, it's, you know, Haitian peanut butter is just different. It tastes different, and Haitians love it. And they got to, it was Elaine's idea to interview a local Haitian business owner, you know, and he tends and he takes care of the peanut farm. And out of like the interview, her aunt is leading the interview, but they were talking about how, you know, the U.S. was going to come in and provide peanuts to kids who can't who don't have food basically to eat, and they would have it for school. And initially it does seem like a great program that would, you know, help end starvation, but, you know, he goes into details and recognizing how it actually dismantles his ability to sell peanuts. And he what is it, like he has other people working on his farm, you know, that it's like, so
it basically impacts the economy, the Haitian economy, in a negative way. And it revealed the issue with aid that's coming from outside of Haiti, who don't take into consideration what Haiti actually needs. And I think another important piece that he brings up is like, when there's excess in the U.S., the farmers still get paid.
Right.
When there's excess in a place like Haiti, the farmers are not going to still get paid. Like farmers here in the U.S. are subsidized. Farmers in Haiti, like there's no way for them to get subsidized. Like you would literally be coming in and just completely disrupting their economic situation.
Right.
And I just feel like that revealed a lot about what's wrong with Haiti. I think people tend to think that it's just poor because it's poor. It's like, no, like there's a ton of economic reasons and like facts and history behind why it is the way that it is.
Yes, but I really like that moment also because Alaine basically is disrupting like the interview and asking these questions, and he's taking that time to teach her and share his perspective with her, and she's just learning and she's taking it in and soaking it in.
And I would say she was, and in her view, she was asking the hard questions, but I also think to her credit, she was open to learning.
Yes.
And open to seeing the other perspective and the truth of the matter, which I thought was very beautiful. But yeah, so I had written that as like my favorite part is just that revelation.
Right.
I'm ready to go into basically the writing wish, unless there's anything else that you would like to add.
I'm ready. I feel like if I add anything, it would be more spoilers, and I want to leave the book for others to read and still soak in.
Yeah, I think we've given enough spoilers at this point as well.
Yes.
I like that we talk about the book, might reveal some things, but don't always reveal like the biggest plot points. So with that in mind, I'm ready to go into my writing wish, which is just that I kind of wanted a more hopeful story, and this was kind of my thing with Hot Water for Chocolate, where they were both magical realism type of stories. So in my head, it's like, okay, then give us a happy ending, give us a more hopeful ending, and I think in both stories you get a realistic ending in a magical story. Honestly, and I thought the ending in this was it was as real as Haiti is what I wrote. Things are sometimes good and sometimes bad.
Yes. For me, my writing wish was really, I think the writing style was unique, but again, it was hard to at times keep up when it was like, this is a tweet, this is from this, and they put dates to help. But I think a little bit of the traditional writing style would have been helpful for a longer period of time versus just everything being broken up in letters, because it, for certain times it was seamless, but other times it felt choppy.
Because I listened to it via audiobook for a majority of it, there was very few parts that I actually read. I didn't have that same exact experience, but I do know that sometimes just reading something outside of what I'm used to can be disruptive to me, like taking it all in, like being able to really digest like what I'm reading, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I can definitely see that being a thing.
But overall, really liked it. Love the writing, and I would definitely read another book of theirs.
I fully agree. I didn't realize that they had other books until you told me earlier, so I am going to check out some of their other books and see what's available. But overall, I also really enjoyed this book as well. I definitely think you guys should check it out, and make sure you check out our blog and Instagram for ratings and reviews and updates. Anything else?
Nothing else.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.